Okay, this is for the Finance Committee meeting. Call to order. We have Brandy, Ron, myself, Julie, Larry, Jack, and Mark. Does anybody have any public comment? Okay, so we will go to the 2021 levy presentation.
So you have in front of you the certificate of tax levy that will be submitted after you guys approve it in December. That should look really, really similar to the one I gave you last month. I think I actually took some of the money out of transportation and...
Amber alert?
Amber?
Yes, it's an Amber Alert.
Oh. It's all good. No, you're fine. I took some money out of the transportation department budget and I slid that into ed fund. I mean, I think it was a total maybe 50 to 60,000, not a whole lot, but after a conversation I had with the bus rotation, I figured it'd be safe to pull that out of there and move it somewhere else. So, other than that, that is where your funds are going to be going next year. And then you can see the breakdown of each one of them. We're down to one bond. That one bond is the last year for your bond. And then I can show you some of your extensions if you want to look at the TV behind you. So next year, the last year, your extension for property taxes. Now again, the extension is what they actually gave you. We asked for a levy, they provided an extension. So whatever we're asking for, we may not get, or that's what it is. So all this is a big guessing game. It's an educated guessing game, but it's a guessing game. So last year, the extension was 8.4 or 8.74. So this year, using the formula that they provide you, and doing some fancy little numbers, the aggregate levy that we're seeking next year is 9.02. What that is an increase of 3.2% on the actual levy, on the amount that we gathered. Okay. So, just so you guys know, this whole presentation will be given to you guys at the Truth and Taxation hearing. Just so you know, because it's only 3.2, technically speaking, you don't need a Truth and Taxation hearing. You only need that if it's 5%. However, for transparency's sake, we're going to make sure that we have that for everybody. So the total levy next year is going to be 11.2, and that 2.2 is the extension that we talked about in terms of your bond. So, and that rate is going to be 610. So the rate last year was 639, including the extension. The rate this upcoming year for your approval is 610. That's a decrease in 4.5%. So your anticipated tax rate levy is 610. Again, it's anticipated because we actually we're not the ones that set the limit. Will County Clerk's Office does. And the actual number that we're looking at is 4.89. It's not very big of a point. So your aggregate levy limiting rate is 4.89. And you'll see that's a 3.5% decrease from last year's 5.07. So to answer the age-old question, are my taxes going up or down? You can't answer that because I don't know what your property value did. Mm-hmm. If your property value did nothing but stay the same, your taxes go down. If you did a lot of improvements on your property, your value went up, the amount you pay, yes, will go up. But the rate at which you pay it went down. So with that being said, I got a good-looking fella here who can explain it to you.
Have you seen The Office where he shows his videos?
Whose videos?
On The Office. With Steve Carell.
Oh, you can game here. Part 2 of our levy discussion. The first video I kind of just told you what these.
This is not out yet.
And then explain to you where your value was last year. So part 2 is going to extend into this year. So quick reminder, if you didn't watch the first video, there's 3 important words. EAV, which is your assessed value of your home. You find your assessed value by taking your property value and divide it by 3 here in Will County. So we use the same exact example as we did last time. So I have a $300,000 home and property. I divide that by 3. So all the numbers I'm going to be using are going to relate to $100,000. 300,000 divided by 3. Your aggregate, which is the amount of money you get directly to the school, does not go towards bond payment. As a reminder, last year that was 507. And then your extension, which is paying off bonds, And here in Beecher, your bonds are your junior high, and that was 128. So just a reminder, last year, 507 gave you a property tax of $5,070 for the aggregate and $1,280 on the extension, for a total of $6,350. That was your value last year. So this year, following some math calculations provided by the state, the CPI, EAV increase and things like that, this year's aggregate levy will be $489, and the extension will be 1.020, for a total levy of $610. Now, what does that mean to me? So again, I have a $300,000 home. Let's say hypothetically my property value did not go up. Just to make numbers simple for everybody. You can do this with anything you would like. If your value went from 300 to 350, just divide by 3 and you get these exact same numbers. But we're going to do a hypothetical that my house is still worth $300,000. So last year I paid $5,070. Well, this year I will now pay $4,890 on the aggregate. Last year I paid $1,280 on the extension. This year I paid $1,200 on the extension. So my last year's property school tax bill was $6,350. This year my property didn't change, but now be $6,100. So as you can see, your assessed value on that home, if it doesn't increase, your actual taxes will go down $240, $250. So that's kind of give you an idea where you're at in terms of Beecher. So what are we levying for? Well, last year levy was $8.74 million. This year's aggregate levy will be $9.02 million. Your extension last year was $2.2 million, and then the remaining of this bond is $2.1 million. So that's gone down as well. So again, if your property value did not go up at all, you actually will see a 4.5% decrease in your taxes. So that's where all that comes from. Now, if your property value went up, I can't give you individualized property assessments, but if your property went up a lot because you made a lot of great improvements, then your taxes may go up. If your property did nothing and it stayed where it is, it's going to be where I said it was. So it's kind of where the levy's at. Again, EAV is the value of your home divided by 3. Anyone can find it if you like. The aggregate, I'm telling you right now, is 4.89. So you just multiply that EAV for your home divided by 3 times 4.89. And your extension for one final year is 1.20. And your total levy for Beecher 200 next year will be 6.10. So give everybody a heads up. This obviously is being presented at the Truth in Taxation hearing. You're more than welcome to reach out and ask any questions if you'd like. That's where we're at. So everybody, have a fantastic day and a wonderful Christmas holiday break.
Great communication.
Everybody, Superintendent Gann here.
Come on now.
And again.
The first video, I kind of just told you what these different things.
Because
Let's
you didn't
repeat that
understand it
again.
the first time.
Good job.
So, and just so you have an idea, now obviously I don't have this year's numbers because I don't know what the other people have levied, but if you wanted to compare Beecher to the surrounding schools, there you go. That's where Beecher falls. So when everybody says we have the highest tax bill in all around,
We do not.
we do not. So Bloom High School, which is a high school district that has a elementary district 194, it's Steger that feeds into it, has the highest one at 804. So Beecher, which is a unit district, is 507 last year. The reason you'll see Linkaway with 114 or Linkaway with I think Ms. Black, you're 157?
No, 114.
114. So Ms. Black,
I had 157 Frankfurt.
so there you go. So Ms. Black would have two different bills, one for the high school district, one for the elementary district, and so hers is on there as well. So if you look at Bradley Bourbonnais, I think they're 289, 286 BCHS. Well, that's great, but they also have to put the elementary district. You don't just get to pay for one. It's not how it works. So, and then you'll see Peatone way, way, way at the bottom. They have, out of 386 districts, they have the 388, they have the 386th levy. And they're also selling bonds every 2 years to make up the difference.
That's very cool.
So,
So they never tried to referend
it did not pass
for the levy?
for the levy.
It did not.
It failed. It failed. because the community believed that selling the bonds, which they can do, was more beneficial because it wasn't as long-term. But as Mr. Stein, or as you saw in one of the presentations we saw, they're paying $700,000 in taxpayer money to borrow that money, which I don't want to have to do. And then here's just kind of a pie graph because I'm hungry, I'm fat, I'm on a pie. So this kind of gives
That's
you.
PHAT.
Oh, okay. Kind of gives you an idea of where we spend our money and actually where we get our money from. And as you can see on the right, that big orange sliver, which is almost 75%, 71%, is local revenue. So to run our school district, we are a local revenue source. Your state revenue is not going up too much. This year it went up a little bit simply because of ESSER's information. And then your federal funding is your grants. You don't see a whole lot of increase in that either.
Are you gonna put this out too on the district website?
But I definitely can. This is all part of that truth and taxation.
Okay, I really think this really explains
think it's
very well.
extremely
if you could.
informative.
Very informative. Like the
So,
background, like
yeah.
the.
And then one of the things I learned at the Chicago thing was more visuals, because you guys are getting documents left and right, and I'm not going to be mean, but I don't assume that you read them and know exactly what all of them mean, but I can look at this graph and figure out what the heck it means.
Right.
So,
He simplified it.
yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
I just think with the finance, when you go back, a lot of people understand our property taxes, our values of our homes here in Beecher have gone up.
Oh, yeah.
So, when people see that, the first thing they think is that because we're the biggest, portion of your tax bill is that we raised your taxes.
Yeah.
And I think that's, when you get that out there, it's gonna be key because it just shows that it's the value of your home.
Yep.
Correct.
'Cause I know my home went up.
Yep.
Yep, they all did.
So, and then that's a good thing. You want your home value to go up.
Yes.
Right.
Where it gets us in a little bit of trouble is, like I said, CPI is kind of what holds our limiting rate in a tax cap district. And so we're in a tax cap district. Any questions about the levy?
Anybody? Okay. Thank you again. That was a really great PowerPoint. Great video. Okay.
Okay, when we pay off the bond this year, what are we doing then?
So the bond would be paid off next year because you have to do the extension. Yep. So it would still be part of your budget that you would adopt next October. That's the discussion that we need to have moving forward. So what I've said before is, right now your bond payment is $120, which gets you $2.2 million, $2.1 million. So the thought is, when we talk to taxpayers, is simply, if your rate right now is 610, we're still want to lower that rate. But what I want to do is that limiting rate, which is the 489, that's what we need to bring back up, and that's what we need to tell our taxpayers, is that limiting rate is the orange part of that pie graph. And so right now, we're running a deficit simply because of all the improvement we've made. In the last 3 years, me and my team kind of went together this morning, and we came up with like 17 staffing changes over the last 3 years, 16 or 17 projects that you guys have done in buildings. And so, you've done a lot of great things, but when you create staffing and you start helping kids, that money just doesn't go away.
Right.
If you hire 6 teachers, I don't think it's 6, but if you hire, it'd be pretty close.
Yeah.
If you hire 5 teachers in 3 years, that money doesn't go away. And so, as much as we can look back at what we did in 2018 or 2017, 2016, that's not how it works. So what I'd like to do is run some numbers and find out where we need to get that rate back at, and still, the taxes will go down. Right now, you're going to pay $610 next year. Okay, that's your limiting rate. I'm sorry, that's your levy with the extension. So if we come in and we say, let's drop it to 6, and we just save 10% right there, 0.1. Or if you drop the 575, I have to look at those numbers where they'd be to see where we'd have to be. So what the goal would be is to set the limiting rate, which allows us to again have a surplus, which will allow us to start doing the projects.
Yep.
I'm not saying we're going to take that money and stick it in the bank. And I think you guys have established over the last 3 years, that's not your goal anymore. Is that you want to be physically, yeah. You want to be fiscally responsible. You want to make sure there's a nice reserve there, but you're not here to make money. You're here to make sure that things are getting taken care of. And so, if there's a $400,000 surplus, well, there's $400,000. Maybe that's when we can put the air conditioning on the junior high, or maybe that's when we can invest in X, Y, and Z. That's our goal. And when I put that committee together, that's the piece that I really want to have the community focus on. What are we going to do once we take care of our own with payments? What are we going to do with that surplus? What are all the great things we can continue to do here at Beecher? Because the other side of that coin is I can't take care of my staff anymore. So things are going to be separate. So that's a very long answer to a very short question.
Okay.
And I think the focus there, like you said too, is that we have done some awesome things the past 5 years. Like these are things that needed to be done, and that is making our district better and better and better.
We're better today than we were before.
100%. And it's all for the kids. Everything has been done for them, so.
Well, it's things you can see, people notice.
Yes. And I'm so proud of them, Well, thank you. I think that your guidance and leadership through this and setting us is going to make it even more positive. Yeah.
Okay. Substitute teaching position.
So one of the big things that we are running into, and it's not just district-wide, but statewide, but I'm trying to find a solution for our people, is every day, without exception, we have teachers who are taking up their periods and they're helping out each other in their period subbing. Now, they're being compensated for it, but sooner or later, we need to be able to do something else. So what I'd like to do, and I threw some numbers together for you guys. Right now, to period sub, a teacher gets $30 per period. Now, we'll do high school. High school has 8 periods, but one of those is a plan, so 7 periods. So every day, we're paying teachers, 7 different teachers, $210 to sub.
Right.
That's, by the way, it's $110 more than we pay a sub. So if we take that $210 and we extrapolate over the 180 days, that person is making $56,000 in sub payments, and I guarantee we probably have that every single day because of the shortages we have here. So what I have proposed is the second semester, and by the way, it's on the website. Just because we post it doesn't mean we're going to hire, but I put it on the website. What I'm asking for is you guys to permit me to interview somebody and to bring somebody in second semester who's fresh out of college, and actually have them who has a teaching degree, and we put them on the teacher scale, and they are ours the entire second semester to do in sub every single day for us.
So a permanent sub teacher.
A permanent sub, but the perk to them is going to be, we're starting you on TRS.
Yeah.
We're
Oh,
starting
wow.
you as a teacher
Okay.
in TRS because you're a certified teacher.
Yeah.
And again, we'll continue to, if subs come up, we'll hire a sub, but one of the things we're looking for is, you're our person, you're here
Yes.
every day, and I guarantee.
And you might be different periods all over, but yeah.
Well, you'll be at different building, different
Right.
days, or yes.
Yes.
I doubt we're gonna have them jumping around.
Okay.
I mean, if it's one of those.
That was one of my questions I
Yeah.
asked.
Okay, so at my school, we do permanent guest teachers, that's what we call them. And then that person may be in, 6 different classrooms in one day, or they cover one whole class and then we sub the rest,
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, in reality, I mean, how do I make it look better monetarily? I'm gonna save $13,000 by paying a new teacher and paying our current teachers to do it.
Yeah.
If you guys don't mind me asking.
Please.
So say a teacher goes out, just for whatever reason, this one could just fill in.
Well, you still create lesson plans, and they would still be in the
Yes.
classroom to.
So you wouldn't
to guide
use them for like maternity leaves? You would keep
So
that?
we could.
You could?
I mean, we
Okay.
could if we
Okay.
didn't have one. We still try to fill. So again, with the maternity leave, as soon as that person's in our district for 6 consecutive
Right.
weeks. I mean,
10 days.
10 days.
10 days.
6 weeks, Jesus. As soon as they're in for 10 days, they're at a bachelor's one. The same thing you would pay this person.
Okay.
So maternity leave, it makes no difference in terms of that. It's a good question.
Yeah, I was just curious because that helps us.
Yes.
Yeah. And, I mean, if we have somebody on staff and think we have great terms of no teacher turnover, but if we start having teacher turnover,
You pulled in?
we now have somebody who might be able to help us out.
And already knows the district and the programs.
Yeah. So, and again, what I'm looking for is someone who's graduating in December, who's looking to get into the education field. I'm not looking for somebody who has a bachelor's degree with 25 years of experience and it costs us $80,000. I'm not looking for that.
Right.
I'm looking for somebody who wants to get their feet wet. Let's see if you want to be a teacher.
What about insurance?
So whatever insurance they would take. So if they're individuals, they would, I believe that's covered. If it's family, then they have to pay. So they would still be part of our contract, still be part of our union. They would
But still
get
saving money?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, if once you had insurance, it might be a wash. I'm telling you the
Right.
salary for them and
Right.
but
Are you looking for one or two?
yes,
You didn't
Okay.
answer that. You could-
Right?
I certainly did.
Yes, he did. I'm going for deuces.
I mean, honestly, how many subs would you say, like, how many people, okay, thank you, yeah, at elementary.
Yesterday, district-wide, we had 6 subs that there was no sub for. 6 teachers that there were no sub for. Yesterday.
And how many absences total?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Wow.
10. 11, sorry, one got added every morning.
Does that count as like
12.
maternity leaves?
13, we have 13, so we had, of the
Yes.
13 people that we had out yesterday, we had a sub for 1, 2, 3, 4, and a half day. We have 13 people out and 4.5 subs in the district.
And so that's where principals are subbing, Bob is subbing, our
People
aides are doing a phenomenal job in
Cancel, like,
subbing.
Sometimes we've had to cancel like library because Mrs. Berger is a sub.
You know.
We have to cancel library and put her in somewhere and we have to.
I will just say that if there's any way to do two, that this is a huge issue when it comes to staff morale. Like, I am tired. I don't plan now. Like, and then you see what happens on the half day.
Right.
I am, and yes, we're getting paid for our extra subs, but I just subbed in PE yesterday. My throat still hurts. Like, that's 120 kids on me. You know, like, we're stressed, man. And if you have extra subs in the building so that teachers don't have to cover for others, it's invaluable. And you still have to figure it out because some will always have to sub.
Yep.
But at least if you can ease that by 2.
Isn't it still hard to find a sub because of this?
Yes,
Oh,
but
yeah.
in this situation,
Yeah.
in permanent guest teacher situations, there's more work to that.
There's a lot more, if I'm a new person who wants to get into school, there's a lot more reason for me to want to join the union in TRS and get paid that than to, not that I don't appreciate the $100 that we give them, but $100 and hopefully they call me. Plus, a lot of the subs that we hire don't have teaching degrees. They have a sub degree.
And there's a lot of graduates in December. Like,
Right.
I have a student teacher right now that is in another class that, I mean, and if you talk to Governor State or whatever you can do for job fair, put it out there,
So you guys in agreement to throw it out there?
Yeah, no.
I am.
1 or 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
If
Yeah.
they speak Spanish, definitely.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. We just had a young lady who applied to be a sub that has a Spanish background. So we're
CC.
that too.
Also invaluable.
Everything's invaluable.
My
I
daughter is
will
getting a
move forward with
student.
that.
Okay. Will you do that tomorrow then? Throw that out.
Yeah, I'll see who's applied so far. Like I said, we've already posted it because my personnel committee said 100% posted.
Right.
So I'll figure out who has applied and then
Okay.
we'll start making phone calls. I'll probably put Ms. Black on charge of interviewing that person.
I'm in.
All right, sounds
I'm
good.
in tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Anything else on finance? We good?
I got 2 more things for you.
Go ahead.
And this is why I added other, Marla, see? Before we didn't have other. ESSER 3 has been approved, so it only took me 3 tries to get it done, but we got it fully approved. And the nice thing about that is the only additional costs would be any after-school tutoring that Ms. Black has looked to start. Everything else is money we currently spend, and so we would just get compensated for that money. So I managed to do ESSER 3 without any additional spend.
That's awesome.
After school tutoring?
Yeah, she actually had a few You had a tutoring session, one of your teachers had a couple
Oh,
tutoring
yeah,
sessions,
we
yeah?
have 2 or 3 different teachers or aides that are doing tutoring sessions after school, and we always have our homework up every morning.
Yep.
Great.
And then lastly, and this might be personal, but we're gonna do it here, folks, because it's money. As you know, we had somebody retire last month on our board, at a board meeting from custodial staff, Andy. Giving you a heads up, there's gonna be one other that retires this month, and I believe there's another one retiring within the next few months. So,
And we're already shorthanded.
correct. So, kind of took the bull by the proverbial horns, and I found a company who will actually come in and we can relocate some of our staff members to the other buildings, and I can outsource the custodial work at the elementary. And I found out that's only going to cost us, right now his initial bid was $7,000 a month. Just to give you a heads up, we pay 3 custodians, including benefits, for the same amount of time, about $11,000 for the elementary. So I can outsource the custodial evening, we'll still have a daytime custodian, but the evening custodial work for $7,000 a month.
And I know you were having such a hard time filling those too, so that's amazing.
So then we can focus our people on the other 2 buildings, which are a little bit easier to clean. They still, I mean, the junior high because it's newer, and then the high school because it's newer. I mean, we have a lot of stuff here.
There's a lot of snot at elementary school.
Yep. And so now we can make somebody else clean it up.
So with them retiring, just, big, I don't want to see them do their jobs. But them retiring, then you're just gonna bring in a contractual company.
So
to
if
replace them.
the only reason I'm looking outsourced, because we have literally had 0 people, and it's been posted for the last year and a half. We've had 1 hire in the last year and a half, someone who's been interested. So it's not like I'm just kicking these people out and say bring our own in.
There's nobody applying.
There's nobody.
And you remember, a year ago this time, when we had most of them out, we had to go, we couldn't
Right.
teach anymore,
No.
you know?
And again, we still have 2 other buildings, so if somebody does come up, we still have that opportunity.
Okay.
After this contract, though, we're not gonna stick with this contract with, down the road, because right now, nobody wants to get in the workforce, we know that. But
Yeah,
down the road.
climate change.
So my initial conversation with this company is, I need you to get me to June. I want June, and then after that, we'll reassess the situation. If that means that nobody between now and then has applied and I still have a need, or if that means,
So just a short-term contract.
for right now. Yep.
And then, so the company, I'm assuming, does background checks and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
thinking of
yeah,
going
yeah.
into
When he
the
and I had
classrooms.
conversations, we did, yeah,
Okay.
they're following all the same rules that, yep. They wanted to make sure that we,
Okay, good.
Were you approached by them, or did you approach them?
this is actually the group, so remember SIPC, SIPC, the group that you guys just joined in with the Intergovernmental Agreement, Home Depot Pro. This is one of their companies, one of their sub-companies. I was sitting there talking to him, I said, hey, because we're now in an agreement with you guys, do you have anyone? He goes, yep, we actually have a company that does a lot of the schools.
Awesome.
And so here's one of them. We've actually, I reached out to 3 or 4 others as well, KACCs. Theirs was far more expensive, and Mike's talked to 2 or 3 as well. So I have been reaching out to them, yes. This isn't a cold call by them.
Gotta look for alternatives.
Yeah. So if there's something there in December, I just don't want you to be shocked by it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any public comment?
Sometime now.
Okay, then I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Who first?
Oh, you said you make a motion. I make a motion
you
to
did.
adjourn,
Okay.
sure.
I said I need a motion to
Oh,
adjourn.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm tired.
Second. I'm hungry.
Nice to meet you. So moved.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
It is 5:30, policy, start immediately following the finance committee, so let's just roll right into it.
Well, then
Remember-
we might need to.
We're gonna turn it off and turn it back on, so there's another, sorry about that. Thank you, Ms. Black. No matter what Marla says